If you can stop talking for 10 seconds, that would be fantastic. You want to hit the start timer on there? You want to hit? You want to start podcasting, genius?
So you know what, Biff? I've just given up on working out. I've just thrown in the towel. I've given up on working out.
Oh, really?
You know, I've come to the conclusion cremation is the only way I'm going to have a hot body.
You know something, Jacques? This is Biff. I've always thought you were the funniest person on the podcast. That is Biff's personal opinion of Jacques on the podcast.
Hey,
is there a second joke?
Hey, Biff.
Yeah.
What's the best part about?
I said yeah because I answer to my name, Biff.
Hey, Biff. What's the best part of llamas doing improv?
I can't imagine, but I hope there's a funny answer.
The spit takes. Spit takes.
You know, you always said Joe was the funny one, but I disagree. I think it's you. I think it's you. And this is Biff saying this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Carnival Personnel Podcast. This is your pal Jacques.
And this, of course, is Joe. I've psyched you all out at the beginning. I didn't want to scare, and I wasn't appropriating, all right? And I didn't do accents. I did my interpretation of what Biff sounds like, and I made it my own.
Yes, sadly, Biff is just, underneath a lot of water with work. He can't be here. It's crushing his soul. This is the one beacon of hope in his otherwise dark and dismal and miserable life. And no, actually, he would very much like to be here. He always likes spending time with Joe.
Packing up the NEW-Seum. I get it.
But yes, he like the last couple episodes, Joe has been, and let's get right to it. So Joe's NEW-Seum, it's coming along nice. I was there just a week ago.
Yes.
I think we grew as people from that experience.
Right. I think you got to witness me have a mini panic attack.
And at the absolute most opportune time.
What's the secret to comedy? They say timing. And what better time to have what better time to have a panic attack when your friend is at the lower end of a 150-pound television at the top of the stairs?
Yeah, we went to retrieve this behemoth. It's just they literally don't make TVs like this anymore because the environment said no. like that technology moved forward. Except we all know those CTR TVs are the old, or CRTs. Sorry. You have to have those to play the old system, and Joe had access for one. It just meant moving it from one location to his car to the new abode, which meant going up 1, 2, 3 sets of 1, 2, 3. But it's an older. Well, how old do you think the house is?
Oh gosh, this house is probably close to 100, maybe somewhere in that, like maybe the 30s. I don't know.
And so every 4 steps, it starts to turn. So the steps kind of get narrower at one end and wider at the other as you kind of turn, and there's not a lot of wiggle room in between. And this TV, barely. I don't think there was an inch and a half on either side And you did. You had to lift it certain ways to make those turns, and we're getting it to the top, and it's 150 pounds. But the way it works, the way gravity works, is when it's angled, and I'm trying. Anyways, we got it up there. That's the important thing. We did it together. Teamwork makes the dream work, and the important thing is Joe instantly sent me a clip of him playing Duck Hunt, and how happy that made me. It's hard to encapsulate with my limited vocabulary.
Jacques, I can't thank you enough for offering, to move the TV, because, I brought it up. I think I brought it up on the podcast, and then you brought it up more than once to offer to move it over to my new home. And, I was able to carve out the time, the stars aligned. And yes, now I have a nice old CRT to hook up all my old systems to, and to look at mostly, because I probably won't play it as often. No, I'll play it. But you know what stinks though? I am really a boob. I am a real doofus. Because
2 boobs.
No, one.
That's what they take us
Joe
for.
Is the one boob. Because I could have just had the movers move my old TV, which it was about the same size. It was, I think, 32-inch TV.
Yeah, and, you dropped it.
and it had better, like, higher end inputs. Like, it had 3 inputs.
Hey-o.
Hi-o. I know. But it, like, this has a S video input, which is okay. But the other one had a composite input, which is like one step before HDMI. So, the older TV was better, is what I was saying. And I gave it away, except, I'm an idiot. I'm a fool.
But Joe, but hey, you scored big on the TV stand.
I did, yes. Yeah, the Salvation Army fine.
He passed on a $40 stand, and he was lamenting what a egregious mistake, maybe the biggest mistake of his life. And then lo and behold, ends up getting one just as nice for $25 the next day or the day after.
It was the same one.
It was.
Yeah, it was that for some reason it was still there a week afterward, and they had moved it and put to the sticker was off of it. So I assume, somebody must have snagged it or claimed it or whatever. And then it was there, that day when I went to go move the TV with you. And I said, you know what? Let me see how much they're asking. And then they say 25, and I say sold. And now it's up in my house. And you know what? There weren't that many cockroaches in there. So, it was just a couple. And when there's only 2, that's it.
And again, this is an old TV stand, which means it wasn't press board. It wasn't balsa wood.
It kind of. It's kind of high. It's like 90s kind of.
But it was kind of a pain in the ass to get up there. But we've made a blood oath that TV stays. It's the next person. If Joe moves in a year, if Joe moves in 5 years, that TV is staying where it is.
I might pull, and if it dies, I might do a Jeff Foxworthy and put a new TV on top of the old TV. Then I'll know I'm a redneck.
Have you ever done that?
No.
Okay.
But I mean, you could have done that in the old days with those floor console TVs.
That's what we did. Yeah. In Fitchburg, that's all we had. And plus it was great. I went out one day, so this is 89, 90, and I got a couple of those. Dude, gutting those things is harder than you think.
And dangerous.
Jumping ahead of the story.
Oh, sorry.
Look, I'm in my 50s now, and I'm not that bright. I was in my late teens, and 1,000%. I know I was drunk because I was at Fitchburg, and I started gutting it, and I wasn't aware of you're not supposed to just get a crowbar and start prying the guts out of these things. And I will tell you this much: after the first time you got blown back from a pop, and your reaction was, I got to get the guys and show them this.
Oh, I thought it was more like the Christopher Titus's dad's, way of teaching a kid not to touch an electrical outlet. No, let him. And then he won't do that again, will he?
And unfortunately, I not only did, it's like, oh, I should get an audience for this.
Right. This is pre-YouTube. So A, you couldn't have gone to YouTube to figure out how to properly dismantle the CRT. And B, you couldn't upload the video to YouTube and get, a viral video going.
And trying to break that glass, dude, seriously, like it's pretty impressive. Like, how, but I did.
That's why Elvis shot out his.
Right. Thank God. Yeah. The king knew.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing. But I ended up like, I remember this, and I even hauled it all the way home to my parents' house, like, in the summers and stuff. It was a big TV stand, gutted out, that I used to have a plant in it. And on top of the TV stand was my TV. And then like 10 years later, Jeff Foxworthy comes out with that. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh.
Tex Avery made those cartoons look like you could just take the tube out of the TV, enter the TV, and then pretend to be in a TV show so that the warden doesn't catch on that you're actually a inmate sneaking. Did you see that Tex Avery cartoon with the dog?
And I've been divorced, had a wife cheat on me, I think the portrayal of finding out the cartoons aren't 100% accurate. Because I have based my life on those things.
Yeah. I tried walking off of a girder 10 stories up and not looking down. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you look down. You're still going to fall.
The other girder didn't just magically appear as you were turning. So we got it there. And like I said, I posted it almost right away. I mean, the fact that there's my good old buddy Joe, and it made it all worthwhile. Like if I like in a couple of weeks, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna hook it up, but no, you couldn't wait to get it and bring. Look at, dude. I brought a little happiness into my buddy's life, and that's really all the things I need. And the clip was great.
And thank you for that. Now let me rain on your happiness and sunshine because now now I'm realizing, oh, wait a minute. I have a new problem with this area because the room that where the NEW-Seum is located has a skylight. And sunlight is not the best thing to expose, 30-year-old video games to. Not that they're going to like stop working, but they're going to get sun faded. Like all the collection stuff is just eventually going to get sun faded. And that's kind of a drag.
You can't do the normal Portuguese thing by just covering the sunlight with tinfoil.
What makes you think I haven't thought about it yet? Old Portuguese secret, my friend. I will have to do that. Yeah.
Look, you knew you were in the Italian neighborhoods of all the furniture in the living room were plastic, covered with plastic, and you knew you were in the Portuguese neighborhoods if there was the tin foil during the summertime for I don't know. Did it help make Jiffy Pop? Is that what it was?
I don't know what I'm going to do as far as because I know it's going to get hot in here. And I'm not going to take off all my clothes, despite what Nelly says. Yeah, no, sorry, Nelly, I'm not going to do it. But yeah, that's another hurdle I'm going to get over. But I do have some TV talk that I will get down the road. We'll mention down the road.
Fantastic. So moving on, here in the lovely city of Boston is the stupidest holiday ever. Like the one that's that I can't even say the name of, the one that a lot of people are changing to Indigenous People Day or something akin to that. That's like the worst holiday. Today, St. Patrick's Day.
Don't you mean Evacuation Day?
Thank you. Okay.
That's the reason why children don't go to school in Charlestown and Boston on St. Patrick's Day.
Dude, it's because their parents drank the night before, and there was
the day of.
Honestly, and this is such a regional thing. First of all, step back. My ancestry is a bit in question. I'm not 100% sure of the lineage. There's a possibility I'm a quarter Cuban. We will never know. But on my mom's side, yeah, it's Scottish, it's Irish, it's Welsh.
A little bit country, a little bit rock and roll.
Look, wherever douchebags immigrated from northern not the cool place like Italy and France.
Honky town. Let's just say honky town.
Exactly.
Won't you take me to honky town?
But yeah, and it's funny. I have Irish friends, like born and bred
you
in
can
Ireland.
Say Irish jokes.
I can say, "Oh fuck you better get ready." I mean, we're still we're the one group you can punch down on.
Hey, some of my best friends are Irish,
and all of them are like, when we lived in Doha, and there was like 3 Irish families on the compound, and they're like, "Why do you guys celebrate St. Patrick's Day?" I'm like, I don't know. It's like and we have another friend here who's like, just he works in our son's school system. He's been a principal in this. He's worked for the Lowell school system 30 years. He goes home like the day after school gets out to Ireland and comes back the day before every year. He spends 2 months back there. And even he's like, I don't know. I don't know why we do this. And the whole thing is like when you try to explain to somebody what it is, it's like, oh, St. Patrick chased the snakes out of Ireland, which if you know anything about the geography of Ireland.
By the way, quote, snakes. Right. We all know what he really drove out of Ireland. It was the non-believers, let's say. I mean, Saint Patrick, hello.
But all the all the folklore over the years to whitewash it, it's like, oh, it wasn't people they were chasing out, it was the snakes. We've dehumanized them to reptiles. Anyways, but it was a huge thing in Boston all growing up, but it was a Northeast thing. It wasn't a California thing. It wasn't in Texas and stuff like that. All through like the 70s and 80s, it was just in Chicago. They turned the river green, which I'm not sure if that was the city dying in it or just the drugs puking in it. South Boston, it was just, and then it became a whole thing when the queers wanted to start marching in our parade. It's like, Sully, are we really going to let the queers march with us? That just became I think that was the real turning point of, oh, wow, we really suck. like us here, we're not good people.
I would love it if during Pride, that the LGBTQ community don't let the Irish march in their parade. So.
Right? And that was always a joke. Like, they got their own parade. It's like, yeah, but anyways, it's resolved. I mean, and there were some years where like the Fraternal Order of Police won't march in the St. Patrick's Day parade if they're letting right. these guys over here,
right, these Freddie Mercury wannabes.
And it's funny because, hey, look, it is what it is. But now when it becomes this big thing, and it's like, oh, it's just, I don't even want to hear it. It's, anyways, it will be over soon.
Why do you keep talking about it if you don't want to talk about it?
You know what? You're right. You're right.
Why?
You're right.
Fair enough.
Just get off my chest. So over the last month, I've been trying to learn how to use Instagram more, and I've been saying it so far because the algorithm hasn't caught on to everything else awful in the world. My Instagram is still mostly comics, comedian things, funny clips now because my son uses my phone all the time, endless soccer football clips, drumming clips, and trying to think, some movie clips, like, and what's nice is when I post something on Instagram, when you get like 30 likes, for people I actually know, not bots, you know what I mean? It's like the engagement, the activity, it's like, oh, and then now and then I jump back over to, because there's still like, people like, Biff uses Twitter a lot, Professor Cook uses Twitter, or our good friends over at Complaints and Observation podcast use it, which, by the way, if you haven't listened, they had a great guest on last episode, Gene Dante.
Ah, yes. He was a great guest, and that they had a really great time. It's funny because Gene was talking about the gentrification and of Boston and how many millionaires do you actually can sustain all the new buildings they're putting in there. And he made this great point. It's like you have so little space that you're building vertically, and it's like at what point Yeah, but Japan's been doing that for decades.
Exactly. But here, yeah, but in Boston, they're building it not for people. Like, honestly, you can't get. It just came out. Just speaking about South Boston, in the movie Good Will Hunting, Will Hunting lived in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, second-floor apartment in a triple-decker in Southie. That apartment just went up for rent, and it's $4,500 a month. $4,500 a month for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. And you know the bathroom. There's not a walk-in, shower thing. It is what it is.
Hey, I can get a tent on Mass and Cass for a lot cheaper.
So, but it's funny. As Gene was saying, it's like, yeah, as you drive through, it's like on one side of the street, you still see the mom and pops that are only going to be there a few more years, and on the other side, these glass monstrosities. I was going through Somerville on my way either to your mom's house or to to meet you to get the TV stand at the Salvation Army. And it was exactly what was going on. I'm going down the street that's all torn apart for construction. On one side, block after block after block, these new skyrise, these glass skyrise. And on the other side, you still see like the Portuguese barber shop and the mom and pop.
Right. It's like the beginning of Archie's Place. Yeah. And where it would just like scroll down the street and you'd see these small one horse kind of things.
So I'll jump over to Twitter to see if Biff posts something, to see if Cook presses something. Like I said, there's like 3 or 4 people, and I just scroll past all the awful because I'm going to hear about it all. I'm gonna. There's nothing that's gonna slip by. You know what I mean? I might get a couple hours without being upset by something that somebody awful did, but it will make its way into my ears, and then I'll be mad for a couple hours, and then I'll rant to my 15-year-old about it now, who's like, why is Grandpa yelling at the TV again? But yeah, we've had some nice talks. But Instagram has been a nice like little refuge to network and engage with people on. And like I said, I've fallen into this little pocket of some people that we've had on the show as of recent. Some people we're going to have on, over like the next couple months who I'm seeing. A lot of them are just transitioning out of the open mic stage and into the mostly booked show stage, which is really nice, So anyway, so Instagram has been a lot nicer, and it's also nice to 5 hours later log back on and see you got a response to something.
Yes,
just something.
That isn't an ad for DraftKings.
I've blocked him. Like, look, I don't dislike Lenny Clark, but I did on Instagram. It's like, okay, every third thing down there was a Lenny Clark DraftKings ad.
I'm sure if you heard his politics now, you would dislike Lenny Clark.
Oh, remember how we talked about management going and seeing comics? His whole half-hour set was about how all these new pronouns are stupid and these new genders are stupid, and I can't remember all these new things. And that's when she's like, gosh, I hope he never has to move, because if that poor guy has to remember a new 5-digit zip code, he's fucked. But yeah, not a fan, not a fan anyways. So talking about automobiles, every 2 to 3 years, I trade in whatever Santa Fe I have and get a new one, before it starts falling apart. It's usually around 60,000 miles between 2 and 3 years. Trade it in. And I look, here's my trick. In 2010, and in February or March of 2010, you walk into the dealer and say, I would like a brand new 2009 Hyundai Santa Fe that you got out back that's collecting dust because you got to sell these 2010s that are on the showroom floor. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, I am 100% sure. But it doesn't have this one tiny new gadget.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, please wash off the dirt and pull it around and I will take it. And whatever the 2010 model is, it's $10,000 less. I've been doing this honestly since like 98, 97, 98 is when I fell in love with Hyundais. And first I got the station wagon, which they stopped making, which after 2 models of the station wagon. And yes, you heard me right. I loved my station wagons. And then I got the Santa Fe's. Well, since this little thing called COVID, they weren't making a lot of cars for a couple years. So there ain't a lot of deals to be had. And the next car I'm getting, it's going to be either fully electric or hybrid. And I'm leaning towards hybrid only because I do lots of cross-country driving. And, on a tank of gas, you go 300-400 miles. On a charge, you go 300-400 miles, but you can fill up a tank of gas and keep going versus I got to pull over for X amount of time and charge.
Yeah, and you really have to plan your trip so that you know where all the EV spots are. And you have to make sure you have the right adapter and all that crap. Yeah.
So I'm going to go hybrid. And I can't. So my car now, because of the pandemic and everything, it's like 75-ish, and it's fine. But it's not the same car it was a year or so ago, And my whole thing is like, once you start throwing money into a car, it cascades, and It's like, I put in this new whatsamajigger, and then the flux capacitor is used to using the old whatsamajigger for the last 70,000 miles, and the newfangled one is kind of not the same calibration, and so it makes that breakdown, and the domino effects happen. But I couldn't find anything. I was waiting, and I'm like, and then this past week I'm like, okay, well, I have to get the 80,000 mile tune up. It's $2,000. I'm not going to sink $2,000 in it and then trade it in a month. So I then did the math, and I'm like, well, my little guy, who's not so little anymore, will probably be getting his permit in June or September. He'll get it in September. He'll get his permit. He'll get his license March, maybe next April. He'll be able to take the car now and then for the first 6 months, and then I'll just hold on to it in like Christmas 2025. It's like, here it is. Here's your new car that you've been driving in the last 7 years with me.
It only has 100,000 miles on it, and it's just driven across country 7 times.
But in my head, it's like, because we might, I might be driving him down to New Orleans, to Louisiana over April vacation. We might be doing that trip. Management is out in Chicago for most of the summer, so there will be a road trip to Chicago and then going from Chicago to LA. Most likely, I think that's the plan, and then go from LA to Chicago at the end of the summer to see her for another week, and then she'll come out to LA. She'll fly out at one point, in LA, and we're thinking like, one boy makes a drive out with me, and then the other one flies in with mom in a few weeks, and then the one that drove with me will fly back with mom, go to Chicago for a couple of weeks, and then I'll drive home with the other one. So I'm like, was it the right thing? It's like, but anyways, nobody cares about that. That's my car woes, but
nobody cares about any of this.
Nobody does. As I'm doing the rundown, I'm like, it was my anniversary the other day. And by other day, I mean yesterday. And the only one who might have cared is Biff, because he married us. Yes. He performed the ceremony. It was funny because it's always great when somebody else tells the story in front of me about my wedding. And a friend of the podcast, Ronik, we had a conference call, Ronik, with another friend of the podcast, Paul, the world champion pumpkin carving guy. The three of us had a conference Zoom meeting, and Ronik's like, "Oh, that's right. It came up on Facebook. It's your anniversary. Happy anniversary. By the way, Paul, ask Chuck what he dressed for, for his wedding." And then Biff did this, and it was like me just being a fly on the wall, listening to her tell him about my wedding for like 10 minutes. And
well, that's great. Yeah. It's lovely. Look how many lives you've touched.
The best thing is she's at Biff's house, and most of the people at the party are my hockey friends, a couple of Ellen's friends, some people I used to work with. And then there's Ronik. And I think she had met John at that point. We did a pitch with John. And there's a whole group there. And it's like, oh, none of us know you. You don't look like a hockey player. So why do you know Jacques? And she tells the story that, Jacques walked in my office to pitch a show. Full-on Star Trek uniform. and a very old briefcase handcuffed to his wrist. And Joe knows the bit. It's not the first or last time I've ever done that. And I proceed to uncuff the briefcase and methodically pass out the show treatment to the 6 or 7 executives around the table. And as she tells the story, she's reading it, she's listening to the pitch, and about 10 minutes in, she realizes, oh, this show has nothing to fucking do with Star Trek or Star. This guy just dresses like, right. Oh, the Blues Brothers. Thank you for getting this. You know, I don't remember if I had Elwood written on my knuckles or, but yeah. And then she looks at Biff and goes, I knew right then and there I was going to fucking hate this guy or we're going to be best friends the rest of my life.
And it was both.
And Biff goes, what was it? Deadpan. Like she's an old vaudevillian. Looks right at me cold. I don't know yet. So that was fun. But yeah, nobody cares about that. Nobody. The same way that nobody cares. But I just posted on Instagram. I put my phone in our drop ceiling, hit record, and fed the 8 puppies who are now puppies. Their eyes are open. They're over 4 weeks old. They're 4.5 weeks old. It is a madhouse, but every day I get besieged from different people. It's like, I haven't seen a puppy picture in 2 days. It's like, they look the same. I take a picture and then you scroll. No, actually, they doubled in size.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
My sister, my niece, one of my favorite people in the world. Yeah, she might be my favorite person. Sorry, Joe. She came over, a couple of other management friends of mine, like our friend Laura, her daughter Grace, on Saturday. And it was just, I'm not being sexist, but it was 7 women sitting in our living room floor with 8 puppies crawling all over them for about 4 hours. No playing music in the background, no drinking wine, no TV, just absolutely. And I kept walking in and just seeing the utter joy of that. It's like, yeah, this is awesome. Nice. It was nice. And so, but none of my deadbeat F&H friends, I sent, hey, there's a lot of philanthropists and Christians on that team, and I sent them, hey, here's the Gal's Best Pals link to the donation site for Crystal and her 8 puppies, or here's the link to Amazon, where I didn't know you could do this. It's like almost like a gift registry. It's like, this is the puppy formula they get. This is the this they get. This is the that they get. This is the spay and neuter program that we go through the MSPCA and how much it costs. It's like you can prepay or you can donate $1 or just go to the Amazon things and it will drop ship it. And I said to my good friends, I'm like, this is not a Carnival Personnel Podcast snack fund. This is not a pass through. This is an actual 501c3 legit charity that, dude, those 8 puppies, it's insane what they eat. It's an absolutely insane. And the poor moms, it's the same thing for the last, up until about a week ago, she was their food source.
Yeah.
And the amount of food that poor dog ate. And when you put the food down, like we fed her 4 or 5 times a day, it was like you had to count your fingers after to make sure.
It wasn't enough. It was, yeah.
But anyway, so it is. It's great. It comes to a halt because management has to go to Chicago for Passover with the work family. So, which I've already sent out the invitation to our good friend Sully, and our other old neighbor, Calandrello. And I'm like, on that Saturday, April 1st, not an April Fool's thing, I'm like, pretty sure Joe's going to come over that Saturday and the following Friday, and we're going to watch stuff. I don't know if we're going to start with Smokey and the Bandit. I don't know if it's the Matt World makes it on the list. We have so many things.
Can it be something I want to watch?
You give me 3 things.
Let's see. Let's see. We can watch an episode of MTV's Remote Control.
Oh my God. So great. Yeah. But you can't watch an episode. You got to block out 2 hours.
Right. No, that's my foot in the door. It's one episode, but then it's like Pringles. You can't stop.
You can't
have just one.
Dude, the great Ken Ober. I mean, he will just never get his fair due.
No, I mean, poor Kenny Ober. Although I had been watching, I'll get to it later, but I've been revisiting some of the remote control, and it's of its time.
It doesn't hold up. We watched a few episodes.
Yeah, I mean, the format's great, but there's some humor that doesn't transcend time.
That same focus more towards the female college contestants, if I recall.
It depends on what you mean by focus, because they didn't have predominantly female college contestants. It was predominantly white college contestants, and the audience. Oh my God, it was like a Morton Downey Jr. audience, which was also of its time. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward. Hopefully, yeah, you can get the band back together in that respect, and we can all watch old 60s through 90s stuff.
And it's tough because like management's like, oh, I'm going to be away for 8 days. Like, oh, fuck. And that little thing in your head, pretend to be sad, pretend to be sad, pretend to be sad, you know.
Don't say pretend to be sad out loud. Don't say pretend to be sad out loud.
And the great thing is it's you own your loserness as a badge of honor the way that I do. And neither one of the mics really drink. Like they'll have a beer or two, but we're not, oh, the wives are out of town, we're going to rip it up. It's like, no, we are going to watch the Paul and Christmas special. And April.
The Rich Little.
Oh, no, I don't know if we can do that.
No, we can't. We already did. We had to zip through it. I think we watched like 2 minutes of the beginning and then the credits at the end. But anyway,
long story short, made for Canadian TV, where Rich Little played every role, one role worse than the next.
and it was a Christmas Carol, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, awful stuff. But no, but that's it. It's like, okay, we're going to stay up till 2 a.m. eating junk food. Like we're 12 years old. We're 11-year-olds who are just going to binge watch shit, eat stuff, and maybe pass out from a food coma, but get up the next day and pants might be a little tighter from all the chips, but we're not puking into it. So that's what's going on over here. So in the stand-up world, I on Sunday, it was my 50th time getting up in an open mic since September 6th.
Wow.
Was the first time. So it's taken 6 months to get in 50 mics. I've logged each one. It's like, which bits I do, how long the sets ran, and rate myself. It is amazing how much better I've gotten, and amazing how not good I am. It's like the whole 10,000 hours is no joke. It really, really is no joke. And there'd be noted improvement with this or that. I cannot stop tisking. The mouth noises I make.
Oh, are you telling our podcast audience that you can't stop tisking?
Oh, it's so off-putting. The there are some sets where I blow through and I'm getting better at the whole set. But I usually, the last minute and a half, depending on how it goes. But as of recent, I've found a couple places that are like, oh yeah, you can do a 10-minute set. It's like, just because you can doesn't
you never stop to think if you should.
So but I have. I've done a couple 10 minutes over the last couple weeks. I've found this place in Lawrence called One Broadway Collaborative. It's a catch-all, like, arts theater type conglomerate. It's really one guy who their space had like a pipe burst in another unit in the building. They are now at the cable access place in Lawrence, which is kind of
familiar territory.
Yeah.
For you. Yeah. It's like home again. You've come home.
And what's nice is one of the open mics they have, it's a collaborative. So you do your bit and then you get feedback. And it's really nice. But some of the feedback is, okay. So I'll give you an example. And Joe knows I have this bit about what's the best weapon in a zombie apocalypse. And I've curated this bit because you get audience feedback. People will yell out different things, a gun, a chainsaw, this, and I have stock answers coming back. It's a little crowd work-ish, but it's not really, it's like, oh, come see our improv. I mean, we wrote the sketches we're going to do word for word, but we're calling it improv. And I do the bit, and the whole premise of the joke, the whole joke is like the best weapon in a zombie apocalypse is a cyanide pill, because why would you want to be around? There's no Pornhub. And the feedback was, well, when you were asking about weapons, it's like if you take a cyanide pill, then you would die. And so by asking what weapons,
I understand, and also I have that same dialogue in my head as you're saying the punchline, but I don't need to express all of my feelings about the punchline to you. There's a little disconjoint, but I get it. It's funny. It's a little swerve. The right. Best weapon is there is no best weapon. You're just, check out.
The CVSs are going to be picked clean the first couple hours. So a month later, when it's time for that herpes cream you need, and some of you really need, it's not going to be on the shelves.
Yeah.
So there you go. But it's like, it was I was getting feedback, and it was very akin to, oh, so you're saying the first baseman's name is.
Oh, I understand what's happening. There was a bit of a misunderstanding. You see, no, what is the last name?
And I'm like, okay. So my little guy has done a few of these mics. He has no material like his dad, but the bravado and the presence and the calmness. He did it a couple weeks ago in Somerville over at Winter Hill Brewery. It was two great guys like Nick and Paul. I see them on Instagram. They do 2 or 3 book shows a week, run their own mic, and they'll show up at 2 other mics on a Wednesday. This is their life. This is what they do. And what's that word? Good. They are good at it, and they're good guys. Like you saw the guy Nick did the Mondo Comedy Show, the half Korean kid. That was him.
Okay.
And so he gets up there, he does his thing. He does fine. He does fine. He does about 3 minutes, gets a couple laughs. It's good. And then the following Sunday, I go to a place for the first time, Donahue's in Watertown, which I can't imagine what it's like right now. Just 8:00 Friday night, St. Patrick's Day.
Oh my God! Talk about River of Green.
Oh, the poor wait staff. Those poor fucks. But 2 guys came over to me and they're like, "That was your son, right? On Tuesday?" I'm like, "Yeah, that was because why is he so comfortable? Like, I've been doing this for a year, and he just got up there and he goes, and a couple things don't land. He just keeps going. He was just fine. Why? It's
the Gilbert Gottfried thing where he went up when Gilbert Gottfried would talk about his early stand-up years. He said, he was also like 15 or something like that, and he just kept going, and he kept going and kept going up, and he said, I think I attributed it to just not knowing any better. Like I didn't know to be scared or discouraged. I just knew that I had to be up on stage. But I don't know. I can't speak for your son if he has to be on stage only, or maybe you're making him go on stage. So technically he has to be on stage.
No, I mean, this is, like we've always did. You have to have a sport. You have to have something. And it can be.
That's a good parenting tip, by the way. Let's see. Let me write that down. For my kids, they have to have something to do. Are video games a thing to do?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
If they're in the overwork, but it's one of those things. It's like, if there's 2 games in a practice, you go to all of them. You don't have to go and do extra batting practice. We don't have to get a fielding coach. I'm not going to obligate you to do a tournament every other weekend and take away your weekends. But we're going to make a commitment. And if you don't like it, fine. Next season, we do something else. And it's been every sport. I won't go down the list. It will take 3 hours. But that's all. But jiu-jitsu is the one thing. Look, you have to do this. And if you have something else going on, you can take a couple months off if you have something else like, Squishy had, like, parkour he was doing. It's like, okay. Now he's doing, European football, or what the rest of the world calls football. He hates when I use the other name, and he sleeps in his custom-made Man U jersey. I have to peel it off him almost every night, wash it, and hang it up because it can't go in the dryer. It's a thing. It's a whole thing.
Got it.
But so if he's doing that 2-3 times a week, you don't have to do jiu-jitsu. I like you go once every couple of weeks just to kind of keep with it because he's good. And the same thing with music. It's like we've pulled back. It's like, okay, you're doing school band after school twice a week. You don't have to do piano 3 times a week at home. You have to have something, but this something you can't. This is something like same thing. If you don't want, if your heart's not in doing the play, you can't do it. You're not going to be good, and you're going to pull people down. This is the scariest thing you could possibly fucking do. So I can't say you got to write for a half hour and get up there. It's 100% if he wants to do it, he wants to do it. He loved it when he did it in New York because his first joke landed, and everything after that, was just gold, was just gravy. And then the first couple times he did it at the one Broadway on Sunday. It was the guy who runs it, 2 guys, one guy your age, one guy older than me, waiting to do their 2-song acoustic set. And so acoustic guy 1 went up, acoustic guy 2 went up, he went up. And after about 30, 45 seconds, he's like, okay, that's it. My name's Grayson. And he couldn't do it in front of 2 people. 50, no problem. And the whole way home, he's like kind of beating himself up. I'm like, dude, that's the way it is. It's like when I have a bit and I do it in front of Joe, it's hard. God forbid I do it in front of Caroline. It's impossible and excruciating. But, that's when you're working with people who know you and stuff. But when you do a show, I said the band would do that. We would play TT the Bears, on a Thursday in April. 125 people there. Like crowded, packed. Next week we do it show in Ralph's in Worcester, and for whatever reason, there's 3 people, and you got to put the same amount in the set, and it's hard to get up there and look at 2 people and do crowd work with that, and he did, and he froze, and it was one of those things. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I mean, if everything went like New York, where it was great, you're not going to learn. These. And I did. I said it. Go ahead. What did I tell him? Say it.
Bruce, why do we fall down?
So we can learn to get back up. So it was great. And then we have a very close friend who's a theater professional who has been for the longest time saying, I want to do that. I want to do that. They can't bring themselves to go and do it. And they're like, and I told them that. I'm like, look, she's performed in thousands of things. This is really hard. The fact that you've got up there 4 or 5 times in the last couple of weeks. And so that's where we left it. I've gone and I've scouted all the places that I can bring him. I've kind of changed the places. The nice thing about the Winter Hill one is the first comics up. It has to be PG-13 because it's a family restaurant. But after 9, it's a family restaurant that has some IPAs on tap. And they're like, okay, you can work, not PG-13 after that. So if we get there early, and he's one of the first 5 or 6 up, then we watch the other 4 or 5 comics after him. But that's if he wants to do it. You can't force that. I can make him go to wrestling for now. I can make him go to jiu-jitsu for now, but we're getting really close to the promise I made him that the day I can keep you from me putting you in the car. Today the day?
Yeah, right.
And we're getting close to that, but he's liking it,
That's great.
So it is. It's dude, it's the first thing we've done together. Ever.
Wait, what?
Well, I would take him to jiu-jitsu. I would take him to water polo. I would take him, here or there. But it's not like when he was doing guitar, it's like, and I tried a couple times. It's like, dude, talk to the guitar teacher. You get better by playing with somebody. What song are you learning? So when he first started guitar, he learned Garbage Truck by Sex Bomb from Scott Pilgrim.
Mm-hmm.
I put on the headphones. It is a little bit of an offbeat kind of Meg White thing, but I'm like, yeah, dude, let's go jam that together. and he just felt awkward. He's like 13 at the time, and he doesn't want to hang out. But this is something, we're driving there together to do together.
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
And Great. It was nice. He has his note cards, and he's trying to figure out what he's doing. He's like, does this work? Does this go here? What do you think about this? And it's just fun to have that. And if he wants to keep doing it, great. But that's something that can't be, all right, you have to do this twice a week. Right. Because I don't want to kill, like, jiu-jitsu, I don't care if I kill the passion. This is a skill set that you need for the rest of your life. Like, I don't care if you don't love playing, the music. You have to have, doesn't have to be piano. It can be guitar. It can be this.
If he gets bitten by the bug, you won't need to do a damn thing.
That's it. So, our job is to, hey, here's what's out there, and like I said, the little guy, nothing. I mean, football, soccer, no interest ever, no interest ever. The last 2 weeks of the World Cup, something happened. He fell in love with Ronaldo and this French player called Mbappe, not called Mbappe. His name is Mbappe. And he was robbed of a World Cup by an Argentinian goalie who just stood on his. He had a hat trick in the final game, and probably could have had 6 more goals. Like he was hands down the best player on the field, and that goalie just won it for Argentina. But he loves it, and it's like out of nowhere. So it's like, okay, fine, let's drop everything. Oh, here's a camp in February. I can drive you here. Oh, you need this. Oh, so anyways, shut up, Jacques.
No, keep going. The world needs to hear more Jacques talking.
Okay, so things have changed a little bit in Ukraine. Poland has been the first country to say, you know what? I think we are going to give you some planes. So here's 15 Russian makes we're sending you that are left over from when Poland was kind of, not really calling their own shots. That are still flying and are still, and it's like, but yeah, they're the first nation to say, yeah, we will give you planes. Coincidentally, it was like the same day or within the same 24-hour period, Russia knocks a U.S. drone out of the sky in international waters, and it's like,
whoa, did they?
Allegedly,
yes. I mean, maybe the drone, wasn't looking where it was going, and
you got a nice drone here.
Well, it's kind of like when you're walking down the street in New York, and the person coming toward you doesn't budge, but they're right in front of you, and you're like, I'm not budging either, and then you bump shoulders, and then you turn around and you say, hey, I'm walking here. That's what the drone and the plane did. I imagine.
What? I 100%. 100%, and with a New York accent too. More
yes.
more of
you
a
ever hear a Russian do a New York accent? Funny stuff.
It's the best. Look, Yakov Smirnov was just a treasure.
He was and still is.
I'm quite sure all his stuff holds up.
In Russia, drone doesn't fly into you. You don't fly into drone. Whatever.
No, I was not throwing you a lifeline. I was just gonna.
No, I suck. That's all right. I'm no Grayson. But go on.
But yeah, so it's interesting. And then I'm driving home from a show, and like I say, I don't listen to much, but I turn on like the local news, and it's a late night kind of, on WBC. It's like, are we pushing Putin to the brink? Is he gonna, are we poking the bear? It's like, and then all the talking points of like Zelensky's out of control. It's like he won't like they keep saying they want to have peace talks. It's like, dude, there's no peace talks. It's like, get the fuck out of her country or don't get the fuck out of her country. But there's no peace talks until they get the fuck out of their country. It's like, but yeah, it's interesting. And I don't know, does that signal to Germany, to France? It's like, okay, it's like, they got planes. You guys want to help them out?
Yeah, who knows? It could escalate to, right. It could be, planes across Europe.
And maybe, look, you don't want an escalation, but at one point, when do you stop saying to Zelensky, you can only play defense. hope you win the Super Bowl. It's like, oh, the New England Patriots overturned, recovered a fumble, but their defense is still coming out on the field and they're giving the ball back to the team and seeing if they can hold them here at the 45 again. I mean, at one point you have to, and I'm not saying good, give them these minks and let them fly into red square and start, bombing civilian targets. But maybe the supply chain of tanks on its way from point A to point B, you can kind of interrupt that 20 miles back, what I mean?
From the sky.
It's like, but it's funny because the last wave of promised, and when you hear, oh, we're promising them weapons, they're not on the FedEx truck right away. It takes a while for them to get there. But Putin was like, no, it's unfair if you give them all these missile defense systems. We're not giving them missiles to fire, but Putin was pissed off because we were giving them basically the same missile defense system that Israel has, but if you give them that defense system, we can't obliterate Cree. So that's not fair. So, but another thing that nobody's talking about, and all these pieces of shit on the other side of the house, let's just say it, Republicans, dude, we're giving them all that money. We're not giving them that money. We're not giving Ukraine that money and then they go on eBay and buy weapons. We're saying, oh, yes, we will order from Raytheon.
Yes, right.
So we're taking money out of our left pocket and putting it into our right pocket. So all these weapons, we're not buying France's weapons and giving them to the Ukraine. We're not giving Ukraine money to shop for anybody else. It's like, this is all, Raytheon. No, we're
taking taxpayer dollars to give to government contractors to fund a foreign war.
Correct. Which is so new for us, and that's the thing. It's like our number one export. Well, I think
foreign.
No, because that's international.
That's true.
No, having lived abroad, I really think our number one export is diabetes and obesity. You can't. I don't care where you are. The last tour I did, whether it was Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, you were not any major city. You were never more than 3 or 4 miles from a McDonald's or a Burger King or everyone, every one of those. So I think obesity and diabetes are our number one export, but close second is weapons. So, it's that great line where the first Iron Man movie, where very beginning where Tony's in the Humvee after giving the weapons presentation, and the soldiers throws up a peace sign. It's like, hey, no gang signs. So, no, I'm kidding. Go ahead, throw it out. Yeah, peace is great. I'll be out of a job with peace. Flat out says it. It's like, yeah, I'm one of the richest guys in the world because my dad made weapons before me, and I make even better weapons than my dad. So,
yeah,
and we've learned. Have the MCU taught us nothing?
No, I think not until phase 7.
COVID update. So the last couple of weeks, there was a report that came out, and the top of the page says, yeah, we can't verify this, but maybe the virus came from a lab in Wuhan and not the wet market. But we can't substantiate that. So, of course, one branch of the media ran with, see, China weaponizes on purpose. And ever since then, it's like all these other, World Health reports have come back. And I honestly equate it to the New England weather. You don't like the origins of COVID?
Wait 5 minutes. It'll change. Well, I mean, the first that I heard about that unsubstantiated, but maybe substantiated report about the Wuhan lab possibly leaking out the COVID was Jon Stewart. Right when he went on the Colbert, and kind of went on a mini rant about how, he didn't say that they manufactured it or made it. He just said that, hey, maybe the COVID-19, the COVID, what was it, the COVID research lab or the Wuhan COVID research lab, may have started, or it may have started there. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility to think that. And then everybody's like, oh no, he's become, including myself, saying that he's become, a little, gone a little off the rails or whatever. Listen, so wait, I'm confused now. I've kind of like talked a little too long here. Is it that you think that it wasn't a wet market?
No.
Are you pro wet market or
I'm pro wet market.
Oh, okay.
And that was the latest report that came out like today. It's like, no, here's all the evidence that it's definitely, something that, occurred in nature that got out of control, and this is why. And it was funny because I was listening to, an expert on like an NPR thing, like who's some, doctor of Saskatchewan. She's like, and she's the one that's like, okay, first of all, I'd like to point out that the first line of the other document says, yeah, we haven't verified this, but we think there's a possibility that there's a small chance that this could have possibly happened this other way, and our first, step one, get the underwear. Step two,
question mark.
Step three,
profits.
That was it. That other report. So, all
right. So I'm. You know what?
Yeah, it's New England weather.
It doesn't matter to me because COVID's over, baby. I don't care.
Yeah.
I rode a bus the other day. I rode a bus. Beat that.
On purpose?
Yes. I don't want to go into the details of why, but
I want to know why. Why were you on a bus?
No, it was a work-related thing. It was
a shuttle.
No, I had to move my. It's a thing with my work that has like. I'll tell you off. The record.
Let me ask you this: all those stupid challenges that go around that all the junior high and high school kids. Are you going to be going into Star Market and licking cereal boxes and putting them back on the shelf? Are you that convinced that it's 100% over? Listen to me. I could be dying.
Okay. Right, exactly. COVID-23, baby. I don't like, licking boxes to begin with. I do like eating ice cream right out of the tub, though. That's a favorite of mine. But I use a spoon.
Gosh, we're just gonna pretend the I don't like licking boxes thing never happened. Okay. So it is Friday. Well, we're recording this on Friday on St. Patrick's Day, and in the last 14 hours, I don't get excited about anything. Boobs. But there's a lot of rumbling that as of early or middle of next week, there might actually be some kind of indictment. There might actually be some kind, and the word today was there is some negotiations going on of how to make this as less of a clown shit show, and that the different apparatuses of military, National Guard, state and local police have been put on alert that, hey, depending on where you live, some people might not be happy that this could actually happen. And it was really funny. On Thursday night, one of Shitstain's lawyers was on Ari Melvin, and he's reading off a piece of paper saying, oh, so what? We're not talking January 6th. We're not talking trying to strong arm turning the election over in Georgia. And we're not talking about any of the indictments out of New York on the fraud charges. This is all Stormy Daniels, which might be the first shoe to drop. And here's the lawyer sitting across from Ari Melvin, and he says, so he lied, they're saying he lied about this. He goes, well, he never lied. Cut to the clip where he's on the airplane saying, oh, I never met her. I don't know anything about this. You have to talk to my lawyer, Michael Cohen. I don't handle any of that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it cuts back in the studio, and he goes, well, I mean, when you said lie, I thought you meant like, in a courtroom. And Ari Melvin's like, no, I'm not talking perjury. I'm not going to let you play the word salad game. Is that a lie? And then Ari Melvin's reading off. He goes, and then he went on to say, and he starts reading off the sheet. And his lawyer reaches across the table and tries to grab it out of his hand. And it became almost comical. Like Ari Melvin pulled it back. He goes, "Oh, we're just having a conversation here." The lawyer, we don't need to be reading anything. We're just having a conversation. And Melvin went to read it again, and again the lawyer not lunges in a violent way, but half stands up and reaches over trying to grab the piece. Like, this is the one piece of paper that has those words on it. Yeah. And if he can get a hold of this and run out of the studio.
Yeah. He just needs just enough time to stuff it in his mouth.
It's a very boring piece you're doing here. So I'm not going to spend, as soon as I'm done talking, the next time I hear about this is if I'm editing this and I, play it through just to make sure the audio came out and I hear it. But otherwise, yeah, when there's a perp walk, I think I'll hear about it. I think it might break through the different, like somebody might interrupt the stream of Best of Elvis Costello I'm listening to on my Alexa to say, "Hey,
you'll hear about it. Don't worry. Hear about it. Right? You'll hear about it. And guess what? You won't hear about it.
No, I'm not counting on any of that. No. Nothing. No. And we won't even get into why we won't hear about it. It's just, Merrick Garland has been the biggest disappointment of my adult life. Anyways, I don't have anything planned for a self-indulgent theater. I didn't know if no Japanese crime. There must have been no Japanese crime this week.
No, I mean, hey, it's kind of a bye week, really. I think it's built into the Japanese the bylaws.
The fucked up thing is some of the absurd Japanese crimes that Biff has pointed out. There is a chance there was no crime this week. There's actually a legit, because remember a couple months ago, one of the big crimes, national news story, 3 kinds of animations to reenact it. The guy plugging his hot plate into the outlet outside of a 7-Eleven to warm his noodles. Like, that was stealing power, and that was national news. So there is a very good chance that there was no crime in Japan.
You think they just suppress the really awful news because they know that maybe it's not worth, it's untoward, it's maybe a little uncouth to broadcast that to a whole nation. Maybe they don't. I mean, I guess in Japan you get your entertainment from entertainment. And, you get your news from your news, right? Maybe the two don't cross over as much over there. Maybe that's why.
When bad things happen, when a politician does something shitty, it's big news and stuff. But for the main part, it's that. So, yeah, we didn't talk about doing a self-indulgence, so I can find an old one.
Yeah, I hope between now and Monday there aren't
oh my gosh,
God forbid there's an earthquake or another attempted or real assassination.
Godzilla attack.
There you go. Straight to the straight to the tropes. I mean, you could have you could have said Mothra. I could have. I mean, isn't there other kaiju?
Yep. Oh, there's so many. There's so many, and each one is more beloved than the next.
Right. So Ultraman. No, Ultraman's a hero. Never mind. Is Ultraman? Yeah, Ultraman's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Yes, he's Ultraman.
So here is a self-indulgent theater.
And now.
Hey, Rocky. Watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
Wrong hat.
I take a 7.5.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
A bear in his natural habitat. A Studebaker.
Moving right along in search of good times and good news. With good friends you can't lose.
This could become a habit.
Opportunity knocks once, let's reach out and grab it.
Yeah!
Together we'll nab it.
We'll hitchhike, bus, or yellow cab it.
Cab it? Moving right along.
Footloose and fancy free.
Getting there is half the fun, come share it with me.
Moving right along.
We'll learn to share the load.
We don't need a map to keep the show on the road.
Moving right along, we found a life on the highway.
And your way is my way.
So trust my navigation.
California, here we come. become the pie in the sky land.
Palm trees and warm sand.
So sadly, we just left Rhode Island.
We did what?
Oh, just forget it.
Moving right along. Hey, LA, where have you gone?
Send someone to fetch us. We're in Saskatchewan.
Moving right along. Doom, 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 doom. You take it. You know best.
Hey, I've never seen the sun come up in the west.
Moving right along, we're truly birds of a feather. We're in this together, and we know where we're going.
Movie stars with flashy cars and life with the top down.
We're storming the big town.
Yeah, storm is right. Should it be snowing?
No, I don't think so.
Moving right along. Do I see signs of men?
Welcome on the same post. It says come back again. Moving right along.
Nice town.
Footloose and fancy free.
You're ready for the big time.
Is it ready for me?
Moving right along. Moving right along. Moving right along. Moving right along.
Gunsmoke. I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the group and ourselves. I hope we pass the audition.
All right, what's happening in the NEW-Seum? Any new games? Any game reviews? What's going on?
Well, let's see. I told you I'm trying to block out the sun like Monty Burns in The Simpsons. I'm trying to block out the sun. Other than that, I'm kind of getting into a new little project that's not really game related, but is TV related. Ooh. So I don't know if you have gaming news that you wanted to interject here before we move on to TV.
Nope. My little guy has we got him FIFA 2023.
With Ted Lasso.
I am so happy. Oh my gosh, dude, I am so happy.
Does he do the EA Sports thing at the beginning?
You can, yeah.
Does he does Ted Lasso do the voice?
He does, and he was on Seth Meyers talking about it the other day.
Wow.
He does. I know you can also be a couple of the characters. You know, you can play as Jamie Tard, Danny Rowhouse, Football is Life, and it's great. But he created his own character. He plays on Man U. He wears his number 9. The player, and I'll post a picture of this. My little guy's hair truly goes. It's completely straight, fine, and it goes all the way to his arse. And you cannot pay him to cut it. His grandmother has tried for years. He absolutely loves his hair.
A regular Crystal Gale over here.
You know what I'm saying?
Christ's sake, Carvey. Me doing Dennis Miller. Or
I'm
Carvey
loving it.
Carvey doing Dennis Miller.
In front of Dennis Miller. It was always the best. And, no, and he has some sensory things, so he can't tie it up. So when he is, out on the pitch, it's just flowing, and it is majestic, and it is awesome. But the character only goes down to his shoulders, like he's 1972 long-haired hippie, yes. Versus this flowing mane. But it's still great. It's still great. Like, I took a screen grab because if you stop playing, you put on pause mode, it has screen grabs from the game, and it will show your player celebrating, and we'll have the stats at the bottom. Squishy Lambert scores a hat trick for Man U. And it's awesome. So I took a couple of those screen grabs that I'll post. So that's his whole life. He's absolutely enthralled with it. It's funny because he started going to a real team this week. He has no real experience, and now he's learning. It's like, oh, these kids are really good. Some of those trick things that, I'm learning how to do in the game, they're doing full speed out here on the pitch. But yeah, that's the gaming news. I bought Gotham Knights a month or so ago, but it turns out if you're going out to do, open mic 2 or 3 nights a week and trying to time it out, if I get here at 7:30 and up on stage by 8, I can get up to Manchester by 10 and get on stage at 11. It kind of cuts into playing games or watching TV shows. So what are you watching, Joe?
Let's see. Well, I'm taking a bit of a plunge into something that you're kind of familiar with. I'm starting just my own little private, not Idaho, Plex server. So I'm digitizing movies and finally setting up a little, I got a nice, 12 terabyte hard drive to load it up with a bunch of crazy crap that I'll probably never watch, even if I lived 1,000 lifetimes like, Bill Murray and Groundhog Day. I still couldn't get through all of these movies, but I'm starting my own little Plex server. So who knows? Maybe if I feel adventurous, maybe you'll have 2 Plex accounts.
Dude, don't.
All right. So let me show you what I got here. I have started a Plex account with a bunch of crazy crap and I'm just, running down the TV. These are just the TV shows I have. So far,
the monkeys,
Get Smart, the monkeys.
Professor Cook and I went back and forth with somebody else about what was the best monkey song in the past week on Twitter.
Yes. The correct answer is all of them. Do you know Sledgehammer?
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. The great thing about that show, and I'll take this little fun fact from another podcast, Ken Reed's TV guidance counselor. He always mentions this when he talks about Sledgehammer, is that they thought that they were going to be canceled at the end of the first season. So they made it's a parody of Dirty Harry movies. And they make it so that the main character at the end of the first season, which they thought was going to be the end of the series, blows up LA in a nuclear, a detonation. And then they get renewed. So they're like, well, we just blew up the world. What do we do? So season 2 is Sledgehammer, the early years.
Is this pre-Dallas where they didn't think, it was just a dream?
I think it was a little bit after that. This is 88, 89.
Okay.
But I got old late night with Conan O'Brien's that go back to, the 90s, old 90s episodes of Conan O'Brien.
So great.
Carl Oldie Olson here. I don't think, unfortunately, that I can't find the unenthusiastic children's choir from the Christmas special that you
I live for that. They also had the world's smallest skating rink, and they had 2 Olympic pair figure skates, the gold or the silver, American winning silver medal, in pairs figure skating, do a routine on the smallest ice rink on the stage.
Yeah, and so I also Night Court. I think these are all the episodes. Newhart, the 80s Newhart, with the greatest ending of all time, greatest series finale of all time.
So my oldest kid, when we were coming back from a gig last week, was trying to. He must have saw a clip on it. He goes, "Oh, they did this show," and I brought him up to speed. I'm like, "Yep, that is. If it's been parodied on 1,000 shows since then, but that was the greatest ending of a TV series ever." End of sentence.
Yeah, and they snuck in spoilers. They snuck in Suzanne Plachette onto the set, and so that audience reaction was genuine. And I think a lot of the people are in the production staff probably didn't know either.
Oh, that's just it's like in Die Hard where they told Alan Richmond, "Okay, we're gonna drop you on 5. 1, 2." Drop.
Yes.
So that look of fear he had was real
in super slow motion.
Oh.
But SCTV, Fernwood Tonight.
Yeah, so I'm never fucking leaving the house if you give me access to this.
Yeah, and VH1's I Love the 70s, the first one. But yeah, you could probably skip through Super Sloppy Double Dare and all the 80s cartoons I have here. Or the Press Your Lucks, Perfect Strangers, of course. All the greats. And yeah, and of course Alf the animated series. What TV show collection would be complete without that? And then yeah, there's just movies. You know, it's small start.
It's funny. I was watching. I saw something online, like either Twitter or Instagram. It's like, oh my God, I just found this. I never knew about it. It's the worst thing ever. It's the Smurf Christmas special. And it's one of those aired once. It's right up there with Rich Little and with his Christmas fiasco. And I text Sully, I'm like, this better be up on your Plex or you're dead to me. Just completely joking. It's like midnight, 1 a.m. I woke up in the morning. It's like, oh, it's there now. And I'm like, oh my God. I forgot to use the sarcasm font, which, by the way, I will be seeing Sully by the time this drops. I saw Sully last night in Worcester with his betrothed and my betrothed. And we went to see Tragedy play with Steel Panther, Biff's beloved Steel Panther from L.A. So that's
nice.
Pretty awesome. Show was great. I'm sure I will be saying after I see it. But oh, dude, this is so exciting. Look at this. Oh, so exciting.
Yeah, you know, of course, I have not one but two movies about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Speaking of whom, because you texted me that little clip on Instagram about Mr. Rogers being a good guy. Yeah, and then I immediately watched the clip from him delivering his speech to Congress so that he could save PBS, essentially, or at least his show. I think it was the National Corporation for Public Broadcasting or something like that. Anyway, classic clip. Of course, everybody's seen it by now. But
the same pieces of shit are still trying to do away with PBS.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know, now you can get Sesame Street wherever, you know, HBO or maybe PBS. I don't know, you know, but yeah, it's a different time nowadays. But yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got for that. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And yeah, looking forward to adding more dumb stuff.
I'm looking forward to a password and login. So are you watching anything or are you just digitizing it all?
Yeah, no, I just kind of told you what I mean, as I'm, you know, there's also a shuffle function on Plex, which is great. So you can just basically, you know, get surprised by things. So of course, one of the first things that pops up on shuffle is an episode of Get a Life where his buddy Larry leaves his wife and family because Chris is like, you know, I couldn't be like you, have to deal with all that responsibility, and paying your mortgage, the family. And then you just see Larry staring off into space and go, will you excuse me? And he just leaves the house. But he every time he leaves the house, because they run into him twice in the episode. Every time he leaves, it's always a door that won't close because it's too windy. Like it's like the wind is banging against the back door, and there's a note hanging onto the door as well. And yeah, it's just great stuff.
Great stuff.
And you know, and not at all inspirational whatsoever. I have no intentions of getting up and leaving anything. Leaving.
Oh no, that I am excited because management's work schedule, because of the demands of honestly having 8 puppies, 4 dogs, 3 cats, and 2 untrained, unhousebroken, cage-free teenage sons. We haven't had much time in the last month plus. We have not started watching Ted Lasso. We have not started watching The Mandalorian. So what little time I have, it's I watched Shrinking.
Oh yes.
Jason Segel is great. He really is great. And I'm telling you, there's this newcomer, this Harry Ford guy. Okay. You keep your eye on him. He's
Harry Ford, eh?
Harry Ford. That guy. Whoo. He's kind of new. I don't think I've seen him star on a TV show before.
A young gentleman?
No, an older guy, distinguished looking, very distinguished looking.
It's funny that you just get, at any age really, like there really is no age when you'll hit.
Look, hey, our buddy Al, the toy guy, I cannot talk about certain things because very litigious companies with very stringent do not disclosure agreements, NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. That guy's killing it. And same thing, like late 60s, mid 60s, like I'm retired. Maybe I'll do this once or twice a week. Killing it. But this Harry Ford guy, you keep your eye on him. If they
I think Harry Ford for an older gentleman, I just wanted to put it out there. Maybe go with a more distinguished first name, like spice up the Harry. I'm thinking like Harry Styles or Prince Harry. Maybe something longer or more distinguished is what I'm saying.
Look, look, if there's a second season, maybe the kid will look into it. But good. Good. For this guy kind of new to TV, kind of good at his craft. I've really liked the show. I've really liked the show.
1913 or what the fuck was it? 1893 was that? There was some other show where it was like a Yellowstone spinoff.
Oh, I don't know. I will look. Hey, I'm a fan of the kids. I'll see what other work he might have out there. Speaking of other work, look, we didn't talk the Oscars. We won't go into it. But okay. Pretty good. Pretty, the whole Harrison Ford and
1884, by the way, is the
1884. The giving the award to the kid and the hug.
Never mind. Stop it. Strike that. Reverse it. There is no 1884. I'm sorry. I'm derailed. Let me tell you why I suck as a podcaster.
Oh, don't limit it to podcasting.
No. I just only have enough time to tell you why I suck as a podcaster.
Touche. Well played, Joe. Well played. But yeah, the Oscars were fun. I don't think there was many surprises. The people who you thought were going to win won.
I mean, I didn't watch the Oscars, but Kiwi Kwan winning for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Maybe it wasn't a surprise because I didn't see the movie, but yeah, I mean that kind of floored me. Like when I saw the news and I saw like the presentation and then like his speech, I got emotional. I was like,
yeah,
Jesus. And I didn't think about this kid really, and because he's about my age. I didn't think about him forever, and then all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, he played Data in The Goonies and Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and then that was pretty much it. Until like
he also did that movie. He did Encino Man with Brendan Fraser, which was great because Brendan Fraser also
Academy
won.
Award winning.
And so it was great. All the A being pictures of the hug from the set of Indiana Jones, and here it is 40 years later hugging, on the stage of the Oscars. And his speech was great. It was great to see so much representation. And the other speech where she was saying, hey, if you look like me, this is possible. Like this is possible.
Is that Michelle Yeoh?
Yeah. And again, 2023, and we're still having those kind of firsts. It's like, we're there now. Great. You can't undo the past, but hopefully we're better moving forward.
And you know what this means? Another 10 more years of white winners. So you know what? We can we did the whole Asian thing. That's that was so 2023.
And the whole thing with them getting the awards is in the movie, they play 20 different characters. It was one of those time jumping around type things. And in this reality, he's this. In that reality, he's that. So it was, and then in the same scene, in the same sentence, you're being taken over by you from another dimension type thing.
Don't spoil it. I haven't
seen it. Dude, it's been out for a year.
I'm about to watch it. I have it on my Plex now.
And then when the bomb drops and the unicorns come in, no, but it was great. And I think Jimmy Kimmel did great.
Mm-hmm.
With the crisis team on ready.
I didn't see all the jokes, but even reading them. Usually, when you read jokes, they don't translate as funny. But I was reading them in one of the articles about like every single Will Smith jab that they could take. They took, and they all landed. I think they were all pretty funny.
So we're going to wrap this up. I had there the Bruins. The Bruins lost 2 games in a row, and people were like, "Are they slumping?" Turn around the next day and had another shutout. It's like they lost 2 1-goal games on the road late. It's fine, everybody. And at this point, as we know in New England, breaking regular season records. Let's see, check notes, means shit. There's one thing and one thing only. Are you
holding a cup
at the end? Yeah. That's it. That is it. So Bruins are great. But we didn't talk the Chris Rock special.
Oh yeah.
You got any quick thoughts on that?
I enjoyed most of it. Yeah, I know. I really enjoyed it. It was good. I watched it live. I watched the pre-show and I watched the post-show. They were very funny. I thought it was classic Chris Rock form because he was angry, and we were just waiting. It's like, when's he going to get to the Will Smith? I know he's going to save it for the end, but when is he going to get to it? How is he going to work it in? And, he does a nice 10-minute rap at the end and kind of a mic drop. And it was really good. I mean, he got into his, some family stuff. He got into, and he also it being live, like he actually fucked up a joke and he, had to make that known. He's like, oh, I fucked up the joke. And then he had to redo the joke, but because it was live, it was that raw energy. I enjoyed it, and I hope that the Netflix does more of that stuff, and HBO would do that constantly in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Those live specials, but it was a big deal for Netflix because it was their first one.
The whole bit about going back and rewatching the movie when Will Smith plays a slave.
Oh yeah, just to get him, just to watch him get whipped
and rooting for this,
rooting for Massa.
You hit him harder, Massa. You hit him again.
And we're doing a Chris Rock impersonation, everybody.
Yes,
it's not a stereotypical voice.
Oh,
listen, I love white people. But I hate honkies.
Oh man, yeah, no, that was great. Okay, well, my parenting tip early on was, you can make him do certain things, but with something like the arts, I can make him take piano lessons and guitar for a certain point, but I can't say, you go sit in your room and write a song that would have been a B-side to a Beatle White Album single, or you're not going to get fed. That stuff you can't do. So at this point, I can be his cheerleader. I can just drive him like everything else, but we can talk about it. But yeah, my parenting tip is I showed him that this world is out there. What he does with it is now his. But you know what you're doing with parenting. So I'm turning the rest of the show over to you, my good friend Joe, who didn't kill me, moving a TV.
Despite all the visions in my head at the moment,
but hey, calling myself out. I'm the one that when we got it to the second floor, I'm like, all right, I'm sitting down for 10 minutes. I'll call myself all the names about, being old and this being hard. That's fine.
Hey, you wouldn't have gotten me so worried if you were just stronger.
Yeah, true. So true. Like when I was 100% where I was wedged in, I was like, dude, I got it. It's fine. No, it's not crushing my face. I put my face there to balance it, and I was serious. But from that point, looking down, I can only imagine what you're seeing.
I'm looking at a 45-degree angle television, basically aimed at my friend's head. So yeah, it was a little worrisome. And me being the one up top that has to muster the strength to lift it up above the one step to get it to the landing. You know what? It's over now. So thank you for that. Thank you for the TV. I will cherish it always, at least while I'm here. And yes, any more light gun games, or any screen grabs that I think are worthy to send to you, I will send to you. So And thank you for your parenting tips. Thank you for your comedy. Thank you for letting us into your world and bringing us into your world. It is quite the thing we do here. We don't think there's enough entertainment out there, or we think there's too much entertainment, and we're kind of trying to make it less entertaining by uploading our crap every other week. I guess there will be maybe there'll be a sideshow next week. I don't know.
I talked to a couple. I wasn't even going to say anything. Shut up, Jacques. I ruined
no,
everything.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Edit that part out. I don't know if there's going to be a sideshow next week. So I'm just like you. I'm like the common man. That's why I think you should elect me as senator. Senator of podcasting. I can be, is there a podcast senate? Where would I fit in? I think I would be the George Santos, even though he's not is he a senator? Or no, he was just a representative, right? No, God forbid he would be elected a senator. He's no Herschel Walker. He was Herschel. That's another thing. Was Herschel Walker running for Senate? Was that what happened? Was that the deal? Wow. Senate. God damn, that's a major position in the U.S. government. To give that to Herschel Walker, almost. Oh, boy. Or Dr. Oz. Holy fuck. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with America? Oh, God. Oh, I'll tell you. It ain't easy being us. White men, that is. Now that Jacques gone, let me tell you what I really think about. No, I'm not going to tell you my true feelings. I want you to go out on a positive note. So, listen to this Beyond Id song that you've heard so many times before. I think Jacques run out of songs to play. There's only like so many that they can go to. What is it? You played Other Break last week. It's not going to be Struggly. That's too short. It'll be something. Don't worry. Or maybe it'll be like a Beastie Boys song. Who knows? I mean, nobody cares. That whole, licensing thing or whatever, the copyright thing. Who cares? Just throw up Satisfaction by by the Rolling Stones. It'll be fine. But whatever song you play, Jacques, don't forget.
Oh, me ancestors came to this fair land 4 or 5 generations back. I can't understand why I act so ethnic and so off the boat when all I am is a watered down stroke. Identity, I never stood out, so I shined up me forehead and grabbed me a stout. I pinned all me pants and got a brush cut. I never wear socks and I act wicked tough. Surround myself with friends named McGee, O'Hallahan, and O'Flaherty. We act so Irish and so Gaelic, but alls we are is just watered down pricks.